Hi everyone, it's Nicole D'Agostino. Welcome back to our channel, One Piece of Me, where today we're going to be having a podcast. I'm here with some of my very good friends, people that I consider my friends and that are also in the music business with me and that we know through other friends, and so that's why they've been invited on this crew. And I first want to introduce a couple of my guests. Here with me today is Mike Farrow. Say hello.
Hi.
I have Almond Pistachio.
Yayo, yayo.
And I have our One Piece guru expert again with us, Gunner.
Somewhat guru.
And let's all say hello to the behind-the-scenes cameraman. Hello, Devin Merchant.
Elon.
Thank you very much for being here. He does the podcast Ghost on the Aux, and I was featured on there as one of their speakers and
All of y'all have
one of
been
their
on.
guests. Actually, yes, we've all been
Yeah.
on there, so we're very
Good
happy that
times.
we're all together again. So here we are talking about One Piece. This is going to be a discussion about episodes 1 through 10. I got to 74 and I stopped. I was getting spoiler alerts and people were coming at me with things that are happening in the future, and I was okay with that. I really am still okay with that because nobody's really going to be on things at the same time, such is life. So we are really here to just jump into the discussion of the very first episode. It was very quick. It was awesome to go back and rewatch them because I picked up so much more. I even took notes. So I'm just going to read a couple of the notes and talk about a couple of things, and then we can all get involved and start talking about how special this show is and what it all means to us.
I was actually going to say something about the people spoiling things for you.
Sure.
And the thing about One Piece is mostly things people talk about are just theories. So it's really not even getting spoiled because nothing is for certain yet.
Yeah, just like life. There are things that I know are coming for me as I go through my experiences and get older in life, and there are things that I'm still going to keep on moving forward and do it at my own pace. I'm going to be at the beginning of everything that I'm really doing and starting somewhere, and I know a lot of other people out there are on, journeys of their own, and that's what makes this such a special thing that we can all get together and really talk so in depth about this show, except for you, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna preface not that there's much of a spoiler warning as we just discussed,
No,
but I have
that's
never
the same.
watched an episode of One Piece. I have read
Yet.
a couple sentences.
Yet.
Yet, that is true. Yet, but I read like 3 sentences about season 1, and that's all I've got to go off of. So I'm gonna say some completely wrong shit throughout this, and we're gonna see how it goes.
That's okay.
What gives Luffy his power?
The devil fruit, right?
Yes, sir.
I almost said dragon
That's
fruit
a
again.
good
We're good.
answer.
We're good. I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah, episode 1 is super fun. It was awesome to go back to the beginning. It starts out, the Marines find Luffy in a barrel. They bring him up onto the Marine ship, and there's a young cabin boy named Kobe that's on the ship of a pirate, and they kind of come along and they're invading the Marines. And then at some point in time, they open this barrel, and Luffy comes popping out, and it's just an epic opening. And from there, it just starts to begin this quest of friendship. Luffy is very cool because he wants to be king of the pirates. You automatically just know that he has been asleep. He says that when he comes out of the barrel, that he's had like the best nap ever. And he comes and he pops out, and he's so excited, and he's like, was like the best nap ever. And then he comes out and he just starts to proceed amongst everybody he comes in contact with to inspire them right from the start.
How do you nap in a barrel?
Luffy can nap anywhere. That's the
Listen,
power.
Yeah.
He's made of rubber. He's going to fit and
Yeah.
sleep anywhere he can.
Sleep apnea is a powerful tool.
Yeah. So
I have sleep apnea. That doesn't help at all. It makes it worse.
3 things you should know right off the bat about Luffy is that he ate a gum fruit from the devil's tree. He is made of rubber, and he loves to eat, and he loves to sleep.
So at any point in the series, does he come in contact with extreme heat and or lightning and just melt?
Well, lightning wouldn't work on rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the heat will still melt it regardless.
Nah,
No?
he's fine with lightning, but
All right.
heat, yes.
He built different.
Heat
Yeah,
is
okay.
definitely an issue for him, but lightning is not.
Okay.
He's rubber, so he's kind of immune to lightning.
And I don't know though. Do we know that in the first 10 episodes about So we're kind of spoiler
I'm sorry,
alert on
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
Well,
I mean,
it's just
go
rubber
Those
for
3
it.
sentences were very meaty.
Yeah, that's okay. Listen, you have to know that going in. I mean, he's definitely made of rubber. I'm sure there's limitations to it, but as we start to progress, we start to see what he is capable of. And the thing about Luffy is he's seeing what he's capable of too. He's coming up with all kinds of different moves and things that he can do all throughout the show. But in the very first episode, episode. It's super quick. It kind of comes in. Kobe comes in. They invade. Like I said, there's a captain on the one pirate ship, Captain Elvira. Did I say that right, guys?
Alvida.
Alvida. And she's just this nasty, mean, ugly, gross. She's just like, ah, you're a bad.
Grouchy ogre.
Yeah, she's terrible. She's
What
terrible.
are you doing in my swamp?
Yeah.
What are you doing in my swamp?
And then next, after we get introduced to Luffy and Kobe, Nami makes her appearance. And we don't quite know who she is or what's going on with her, but she is definitely a treasure hunter, and she is stealing the treasure, which, you know, kind of moves through, like, the first episode. Luffy has Gum power, so he's, you know, rubber. She doesn't know that yet. Luffy's there. He inspires Kirby to fight for his dream, even if it means Kirby. I'm going to say that for a little while. See, I took that down wrong. Kobe's like really getting inspired by Luffy, and they become instant friends. And Luffy says, you know, you have to fight for your dream, even if it means death. And that he decided long ago he was going to be king of the pirates. And that's what he's going to do. And really, that's pretty much episode 1. And in that episode, how did you guys feel when you first saw that?
I will say, in the first episode, I didn't really care too much. I was like, okay, this show's all right. But then as I watched more of the show, it really grew on me even more. I love the show. I didn't expect to love One Piece as much as I do. But Luffy is an amazing character. When he says he's going to be king of the pirates, you really believe that he is going to be king of the pirates.
Yeah.
And if they don't believe he's going to be king of the pirates, he shows them that he will be. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, and that's what keeps everybody moving forward, because we really want to see that happen for him, and we do have that belief in him that he can do it.
So does he eat the fruit on screen during the first episode?
No.
So that's like the backstory. He's like, I ate this fruit, and now I'm cool.
There's definitely
they
a lot of
don't-
backstories.
Yeah, there's a lot of backstory, but in the first episode, they don't give the backstory. But when I first started watching One Piece, I had a friend who was basically already caught up to it by the time I started watching it, and he's my best friend. So he used to tell me about it all the time. So when I first watched the first episode, I was honestly really excited because he showed me a scene from, I think it was like episode like 900 something. And I immediately was like, all right, I got to start watching this because I need to catch up to that point.
Cool.
So when I first got in and I saw how Luffy was, I was excited because I saw how much different he was and how like almost lower level he was compared to the scene I just saw. So
Yeah.
I got really excited to get ready for the story to go through.
Yeah,
and
and
watch
that's
all the
why,
build up.
and that's what makes it such a popular thing, and it's just ongoing. It's still streaming on Netflix at over 1,000 episodes, and there is no end. And the live action movie is going to be coming out at the end of this month. But we're not going to get distracted and talk about that. We're going to jump right into. We've got Luffy as a favorite character for sure. Kobe is definitely a favorite character for sure, and Nami is just every girl's first crush.
Every guy's too.
In
Steals
comes,
hearts.
yeah, she does. I think that's why I can definitely relate to her. I'm always looking for the treasure, looking for shiny things, looking for the treasure in everything, not just the gold and the money and the sparkly things, but the treasure in people.
And that never changes with her, I tell you that much.
Yeah.
She is about her money.
Yeah. So we learned that, and wait for it because this is a tongue tire, Rora Noah Zoro enters, and he is a Grandmaster swordsman. In episode 2, we learned that he has the heart of Rocky. He has great spirit. He's been captured by the Marines, and he's on the Marine base in Marine Base City, and it's being run by another really bad guy, Captain Morgan. Does anybody remember how Captain Morgan portrays himself?
I drank his product.
Yes.
I think that's a different Captain Morgan.
You go, Mike.
It's been a while since I've seen that episode, but if I recall, I remember when I first watched it and I was seeing him and he was just like this super like tall, like menacing. He had like some type of face guard on too that made it even more menacing, and
Is
he
that-
captured Zoro, which is a pirate hunter, so
Yep.
it made it even a little bit more intimidating when he came out.
He
I'll say
is
that
definitely
much.
intimidating.
So that's the dude that's got that metal like teeth thing. Okay, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got a son on the island too, Helmeppo. And Helmeppo is basically like a spoiled, rotten.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of when you said Captain Morgan. I was like, isn't that spoiled kid?
That's Captain Morgan's
That's his
kid.
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the spoiled kid. Do you remember much about him at all?
I remember that he thinks he's the toughest because his dad is so tough, and his dad doesn't really respect him too much because he knows that.
Yep, and he's got the citizens pretty much really scared. You know, he comes in like a gangster, Mike. He's like a gangster who's got this spoiled, rotten son, and he's coming like, you know, he's just going to be taken over, and it's his way or no way. And he just pushes everybody out around and intimidates them.
And that's another thing where I also noticed very early on in the story was they're not just going to show the Marines being good people. Like, they showed him being a bad guy, basically.
Sure.
You know, like he was on the good side, but being bad. You know, not treating the civilians the right way and all that.
Like one of those moral gray area type things where, yeah, he's supposed to be the good guy, but he does some
He does some bad stuff. Yeah.
And
Just
that's
because
the
he's in power, you know, so he feel like he can.
power corrupts.
This show really deals with everything. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's good versus evil. It's all about, you know, your character and how you're going about your life.
Luffy versus nap time.
Luffy versus...
Nap time winning
Luffy,
every
I'm sorry.
time.
Don't make me get animated angry at you, okay?
Man versus self.
Yeah.
Man versus.
And then we meet Rika, the little girl with the rice balls, who comes over to try to feed Zoro so that he can get his strength back up, because he really, you know, she had saved him. Or she was going to try to save him because he had actually stepped in and tried to save her, which was how he got captured in the first place. So that was kind of good to go back and see.
Good guy, Zoro.
You know, basically, after we find out that Helmeppo comes in, he comes in with a wolf. I don't remember what the wolf's name was, but Zoro stands up for them. We see Nami at the restaurant. We get like a second glimpse of Nami in the restaurant, like she's kind of in the background looking. And everybody sees her there, but we just know she's just there to steal the treasure. And then we see Luffy make up his mind that he wants Zoro to be on his crew. So then Zoro starts to have his flashback to a girl that was part of his life in the training and the swordsman area of life, and that kind of flashes back to little Zoro. And then basically he makes a deal with Luffy. Luffy is like, look, I want you on my crew. And he's like, no way. And he's kind of not in the position to be saying no way. So Luffy is like, hey, I'll go get your swords back for you if you'll join my crew. And so he's got to sneak back into the Marine base to get, you know, his swords.
That's the green haired dude, right?
Yeah, that's the green-haired dude.
Oh, no, Zoro.
That's the green-haired guy, yeah. So I don't know if you can see this on video, but this is one of my Zoro cards. The trading cards are awesome. Tee-hee-hee. But really, it's like we were talking about, one of the great things about this show is that it really does put character and moral and situations that we all come up against in great light and bright light and colors because of the animation. And it has an over-exaggeration in not only the acting, but it has an over-exaggeration in the emotions that are being felt by each of the characters as you see them come to life on the screen. Sometimes it's not always moving, which is kind of a nice thing when you're watching the show. Isn't it kind of appealing that it's actually just sometimes like artwork on the screen?
Just still shots of, you know, like I remember it wasn't in the beginning episode. It was one of the latest episodes I watched, and it was a scene right after a really big fight, and it just like cut to, it was actually Zoro, and it was just him laying there.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was a really like appealing scene because it kind of like brought that whole fight together and like showed his emotion just in one shot after the fight.
The show really knows how to take its time to tell the story in even just images.
Yeah, it really takes its time. 1,000 episodes.
You know, it's important that it takes those 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of story, a lot of world building that goes on throughout the whole series.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, another thing is, and I'm going to say something about another anime just to kind of like boost One Piece up, but if any of you were ever watching Naruto and then you got to the end of it and you're like, dang, I wish this kept going. One Piece does. It keeps going.
Just like us, just like our lives. And we never know even past this life where we'll evolve into. One of the things I was telling everybody, Mike, is that when I saw this book, it was almost like seeing a children's Bible for me. Some of the stories and the parables in it, and the colors, and the the good guy is not necessarily the good guy. It's the bad guy. The bad guy becomes the good guy in his lowest moment, and all of a sudden changes. And that's one of the things I think I was mostly attracted to, is that, as a believer in God and a lover of my life and a lover of my being and existence in life, I'm happy to have these stories that just are out there for everybody to get the story. It almost is redundant. They talk about the same thing sometimes over and over repeatedly in like 20 minutes an episode. And then it will flash back sometimes to the previous episode to remind you, like in some ways, in whatever way, shape, or form you might go to or experience church in those times and spaces. And if the world is your church, then it's a reminder of a good lesson. And that was, I think, part of the attraction to this, too.
So my question now for the panel of people who actually watch this show.
Sure.
Going back to the over-exaggeration of the emotions and the character movements, is that... I mean, that's just a general staple of anime 9 times out of 10, but does One Piece take it a step further, or is that just a nature of the beast of anime?
I would say One Piece takes it a step further in the sense that anybody can really be a goofy character. Even the people that you expect to be like hardened, it becomes very comic. There's a few times where you see like some super villain that's kicking everybody's ass. Suddenly Luffy does one thing. What? Like bug eye, everything.
So my follow-up to that is, when we were talking about like the paint stills, I don't watch a lot of anime, so this is my comparison. You know how in SpongeBob, every once in a while you get like those really detailed, like singular frames?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what One Piece does too, or am I thinking something completely different? Like an Americanized version of what One Piece kind of tries to do?
Kind of in a sense, but less serious. Like it actually flip-flops. Like sometimes like One Piece will take it very literal and make a very serious moment, and then sometimes, like he said, it'll be like, the strongest like enemy that they're fighting at the moment, and he's just whooping everybody, and then Luffy does something stupid, and then it's just like their eyes pop out of their head, and they're just like, huh?
Yeah.
Like
so,
Saturday morning cartoon meets anime.
Exactly.
Yeah. If they get mad at each other, their teeth become sharp and like over-exaggerated mouth and anger.
But the thing about those is, I was going to say, One Piece itself, they try to make it really goofy all the time, so that when it does get to a serious moment, you really feel the emotion and how serious it is.
The other thing that we, as artists in the music industry, appreciate as well is the orchestra. And the music done in this is absolutely perfect. It's gut-wrenching when it needs to be. It's happy and joyous, and like they said, kind of, if orchestra can be goofy without actually being goofy, but it's
whimsical.
It has a whimsical, but it's not even whimsical. It's just, it was the perfect compositions and the perfect sounds that the music was making for each and every single moment of this.
Every character has their own fanfare. Like everybody on the crew, at least, has their own fanfare, and it suits them so perfectly. Like Luffy's is a mix of goofy, just on an adventure kind of vibe, and then there's like characters further down the line. I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but their music will like fit their character like perfectly.
So
like, when you see someone walk up, what type of music's about to play in the background.
Yeah. If you hear the theme Rocky, Zorro is coming.
You hear
the biggest thing.
You hear something menacing, it's probably Shanks, even though that's only happened like twice.
I mean, for me, like movie scores and TV show scores have been like a side hobby of mine. I love listening to them, and they're so done well. Like my dream is to play tuba on a Disney movie. Like that's always been like my like the weirdest out there dream that probably won't ever happen. But if it does, I'd be eternally grateful for. It's something like that.
Throwing that out into the universe.
Yeah,
Manifest.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the word. But
if you don't shoot your shot, you got no chance of making it.
Have your tuba. Let's hit the
You gotta be willing to die for it. You gotta be willing to die for it, for sure.
But no, so like, I mean, I think that the score makes all the difference, because if you have someone just died and all of a sudden you hear boom, 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 you're like, what the fuck? So the scores can be used so well to enhance the scene, and now because
Yeah,
scores are
because like from what I learned about scoring for shows and movies is it's supposed to be like subliminally guiding. Supposed to be subliminally guiding how you're supposed to feel about what's going on.
and following off that, nowadays you see, because 9 times out of 10 it's hard to watch anything without having some sort of music underneath. Like you very rarely have some form of dry just vocals.
Well,
So when
music
you-
touches people a lot. So, if you're just sitting here watching a scene and there's no music behind it, you're not going to feel the exact same way as if you hear some type of like pump behind it or some type of like sadness, melody behind it. Like
the music
the
definitely-
emotion plays through the music.
Yeah, and a lot of
Exactly.
good horror movies nowadays, they'll have like those scenes where you hear like the background music, and all of a sudden, like right before the scary stuff comes up,
just
it
silent.
just all you hear is like the, and then boom,
yeah.
scary thing.
yeah.
And like just scores, not to continue getting off top, but scores can make a huge difference. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, and that does make the biggest difference sometimes in any show, film, TV, and that is the power of telling stories through music. It's actually why I chose I Am the Narrator as my name, and as the narrator telling my story, I'm telling my life, my story. My dreams are the ones that are taking shape, and it's the music that I'm making that are from all the stories of all of my life experiences and all the people all around me. That's what brings this whole thing together, even in a more blessed and desirable and very contagious way. So basically, the crew starts out, and we've got Luffy, and we've got Zoro, and we are on our way now, and we're creeping into episode 3 just to keep us on track, because Nami does come in, and at some point she starts to make friends with Luffy, and not friends, but they're kind of like in the same spot at the same time. And episode 3 basically introduces her, and the episode is called "Who's the Pretty Mysterious Girl?" And Zoro's the first crew member. We get a little bit of the Devil Fruit history in episode 3, so definitely pay attention to that. We see Zoro fight with his 3 swords for this first time, and he's like this great swordsman, and everybody falls in love. Zoro saves Luffy, and they, call each other, and he actually calls Luffy Captain for the first time, which is a really sweet and epic moment because it's not something Zoro really saw for himself.
So
He hates
Zoro,
pirates.
Yeah, he hates
Yeah,
pirates.
he was a pirate hunter.
Zoro has a sword in his mouth too, right? Like,
Yeah.
he
He has
That's where he
3
puts-
swords.
That's
Yeah.
where he puts his third sword is in his
Yeah.
mouth.
and he fights with all.
yes.
Yeah, I've seen. I was gonna say I've seen. Like I forgot that it happened until she said 3 swords. I'm like, how the fuck does that work? I'm like, oh, I've seen. Okay,
Yeah.
now I know. I
When
remember
she
seeing
said
it
that,
now.
I was about to ask
Ford
you.
sword
Yeah.
style.
Yeah, no, I see
Yeah.
it now. I know. Me and you kind of made eye contact, and I was like,
Yeah.
light bulb moment. You were like, oh, okay, he's thinking now.
So yeah, we're talking about Zoro being part of Luffy's crew, and he's an amazing swordsman, and he wants to be the best.
Almond leaving?
Who? What? Oh yeah, he ate the devil fruit, didn't he?
Yeah, he made a mistake on that part.
Where'd he go?
I couldn't tell you.
It started glowing, and then he ate it. That's how it happens in the show, right? Doesn't it glow?
I don't know. I saw him put it in his mouth, and then he just poof.
Yeah.
It was gone.
I don't know what happened.
That's
Must have
what
been a
happens
faulty devil
sometimes.
fruit.
Yeah.
Well, you know, people in life will come and go, and then they come and they go, and then they come and go, and they come and go.
Maybe it was like an invisible devil fruit.
He's actually still
don't know
here. I just Devin and I just
He ate
edited
the
him out in
invisible
post.
fruit. Everybody, Ahmed is still here. He ate the fruit.
The invisible
The
fruit.
invis fruit. Yeah, I'm not here for it.
The mute fruit, too.
We just muted his mic. Don't worry, guys.
So we've been talking about the first couple of episodes. We're still on 3, where certain people still come into play. We definitely, in this episode, we find out that Buggy has the immortal map found by Nami looking for the Grand Line. Kobe points out Luffy's part of the brain not quite being there, which is interesting. And then, he kind of mentions what he wants to do and what his image of the future is going to be. And while his is very similar, while they're going in different directions, Luffy and Kobe really have a friendship. And, one goes into the Marines and one goes into piracy. They're all headed to the Grand Line in one way, shape, or form. Kobe actually is the one that introduces the guy who everybody comes to know and love in the beginning credits, and that is Gold Roger. Do you want to talk about Gold Roger and tell Mike who Gold Roger is?
Well, Goldie Roger is what he is known as the Pirate King.
And that's what Luffy wants to be.
Yes, but Roger is no longer alive. He was publicly executed. And that is kind of what started the golden age in the pirate era, because when he was on top getting executed publicly, he said that he left all his treasure in one place, and it is the One Piece.
And a power vacuum.
I-
Wait, so the One Piece is his.
Yeah, wisdom,
He
fame, power.
found the One Piece and left it for the next generation to find.
Got it. Okay.
I have a question about being the position of Pirate King. Is it like an actual formal recognized position?
Yes.
Or is this more like a legendary like street cred type thing?
It's
Sea,
like
sea cred type thing.
it's almost both in a sense, because it's
Yeah.
like, see, no one else right now is labeled as the Pirate King until they find the One Piece.
Okay.
He found the One Piece, and he wasn't labeled the Pirate King until he found it, though. Right, so you're not. It's how it is you're not going to be labeled the Pirate King until you find the One Piece. And honestly, you shouldn't. If you find the One Piece, you're valid enough to be the Pirate King, because no one else has been able to find it since.
Do
Yeah.
you think Ikiro Oda knows what the One Piece is himself, or do you
100%,
think
yeah.
he's just continuing his anime until he figures it out?
Well,
Oda
this
was
is-
sent by God, Mike.
I'm sorry.
Oda has said himself, because there's, it's been going on for a long time.
He's a
and,
genius.
And when he goes to all these Comic Cons and stuff like that, he shows up and he talks to fans, and he's said before, because people were very speculative, and a lot of people thought that the One Piece was just going to be the journey. And people were going to be mad about that.
Yeah.
So he came out and said himself, it is
No,
a
it's a thing.
tangible thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
But-
hopefully I'll be on episode 10 by the time the series wraps up.
What if? Okay,
And-
I know we have more to get to, but what if, without having seen anything yet, I'm guessing,
Yet?
what if? Yeah, I'll get to it. What if by
Me
next
too.
week, by the next episode, I'll have caught up to.
At least 20.
To at least 20, yeah. What if the One Piece is a literal one piece of a bigger treasure, and then like they go another 6,000 episodes to
One
get the
Piece
other
GT.
pieces?
I wouldn't.
I hope so.
I wouldn't
think-
be mad.
I wouldn't be mad either. I'm actually kind of hoping, and I'm expecting it, and I'm thinking that the reason we're
In a
even
sense,
all
I-
sitting here right now.
It's crazy that you say that, because in a sense, I kind of think that's what it is.
It's One Piece Super, One Piece GT.
It's not like a One
Whatever the
Piece,
next-
like what you said, but I feel like once they get to the One Piece and they find out what it is, they're going to have to go and follow through and do some things.
And the great thing about having this podcast is we can throw it out there to the viewers. What do you guys think the One Piece is? Go ahead and put it in the comments. I hope that you're following along and you're liking this video, and that it is informative for you to not only be inspired by your favorite characters already, but if you haven't watched the show, guys, watch the show. It's
Sorry.
just fantastic.
And it kind of makes it more interesting to hear that it is like something obtainable. It's not just the journey, because at this point where I'm at in the story, it's like, what else could they want? Like, it's not treasure, because they can get what they want whenever they want.
Yeah.
So it makes it really intriguing trying to figure out what it is.
It's almost like
because nobody knows. There's
My-
only been 3 people in the world that have ever known.
Yeah.
It's Oda himself, his co-writer, and I hate to say it, but a Make-A-Wish kid 2 years ago.
Oh, they told him.
Wow.
He told him, yeah.
I did not know that. Wow,
Because
that's
the
good
Make-A-Wish kid, his
information.
last wish was he asked for Oda to come and ask
Is-
and tell him what the One Piece is going to be.
Is he still around?
No, he's not.
I was about to say, let's get him on here.
That's so sad.
get him as a
That's so
guest.
sad.
Man.
Well,
My question is, I mean, I don't know. I'm not that far along yet, and I know you're still watching as you're going to.
yeah, 74.
Is that something that comes to eat at Luffy later on in the series? I mean, there's over 1,000 episodes, so after 1,000 different journeys, is he like, what the fuck? I still can't find this thing. Is it eating
no.
at him at all, or is he just
No.
living his
No.
best life?
No.
He's living his
He's
best
living
life.
his
And the
best
thing
life,
about
for sure.
Luffy is he wants the adventure. He doesn't want the easy route. So there's actually a movie that came out where there's you don't know what it is yet, but there's log poses that all the navigators use, and it points to their next direction, basically, right? And this log pose literally pointed to Laugh Tale, and Luffy broke it because he didn't want it that easy.
Yeah, I remember that episode. Actually, I think
That's where
that's
the
right around
One
where
Piece
I am, is
supposedly
somewhere
is?
in that space in 74-ish. And
There's a literal log pose pointing to the last island
yeah.
that can get there so easy. You don't have to take the route. You don't have to figure out the mystery.
So do you think
And
once
Luffy
he
just smashed it.
do you think once he finds the One Piece after all this journey, do you think he's gonna feel like he has nothing left? Do you think it's gonna
I
wreck his
don't.
character
I
a
think.
little bit?
I don't think it'll eat him up because I think once he
No.
accomplishes his goal, he's gonna be like almost set free in a way.
Okay.
And then
Like I don't feel like it's eating him up at all. Like because
Yeah.
this is what he wants. He
my
wants
theory,
this.
And
with
I
that,
don't
my theory, having again not watched any of it yet, is he'll at the very very end in the future when this finally comes to a close, he'll have the One Piece and he'll do the exact same thing that the first Pirate King did: is hide it somewhere and be like, all right, time for someone else to find it.
True.
I don't know if
He'll
Luffy's,
probably-
I don't know if
'cause-
Luffy's smart enough to do that.
Well, maybe not. Maybe he'll because my
Being
theory is-
completely honest.
Well, maybe he'll like have. Would you say? Okay, quick question. Has he where you're at in the show? Has he like grown in terms of like maturity and stuff?
100%.
Yeah.
So do you think by the end he'll be like, okay, I've done this massive journey. I found what I found. I've done what I need to do. Time for somebody else to pick up the mantle. And I'm just gonna live. I'm just gonna do my thing.
I think my theory is once he finds it, he's gonna show it to the whole world instead of hide it.
Okay.
He's got to get that. I found this. I worked hard. I did this.
Well, not even that
recognition.
because Luffy is just like the embodiment of like freedom and
And the dream.
the dream exactly. So once he obtains it, I think he's just gonna show everybody that it's possible. You know.
And without him really having any fear and a willingness to die to go after, becoming the Pirate King, it's interesting that there was something that you said about, like, will he be, like, satisfied? Sometimes we can accomplish a dream and get to it and feel satisfied for a moment, and we do share it with the world. But then we still have some time, or there might be other great adventures to go on. And so I think in relation to my personal life, since this is One Piece about me, let me just take a minute to say that there have been many dreams that I've had as a little girl. And I feel like at this point in time, and I am over 50 years old, that I have really accomplished all the things that I pretty much set out to do from that time to this time. But now I have new goals. Now I have new parts of my story that I want to tell. Am I ever going to be really satisfied? Am I ever going to be completely 100% done and feel like I've found the treasure in the end? I don't know if I ever really want that. I feel like anything I do find, when it becomes another piece of me, and I feel like I'm already going through life not feeling like there's really any missing pieces. I feel like I feel like a very whole person for the most part. I've been very blessed that way. But I am trying to maybe inspire other people to feel that way and to get to that point in their lives too. By any way, shape, or form in any part of our relationships, all characters have always been welcome with me. And I still feel like myself as I'm growing and growing and growing. And that's why this was so exciting for me to take this journey and talk to other people about it. Because we talk about this without it even being a One Piece thing, just in regular life when we get together and we share. And we look to each other for a togetherness, a connectedness. Perhaps the One Piece, P-I-E-C-E, is the one P-E-A-C-E that we are all dreaming, that we all, 8 billion people, can we all feel it and know it and have that piece of our individual puzzle put in there and in place where we really are made all together as one on a whole? Is that possible?
Everyone.
It's honestly kind of wild that you say that because going back to the One Piece, and it's kind of hard to say this without spoiling a lot, but I think that that's kind of what I mean, as in Luffy's goal is to like show everybody, is to like bring peace, because I don't know if you guys know about this yet, but there's poneglyphs.
There's what?
What is it?
There's poneglyphs.
Nope, we don't know about that yet.
Okay. Well, do you know about the Void Century yet?
No.
Well,
We should move on to the
be-
carry on.
okay. Before we
Carry
move
on.
on. Before we move on, the one. So what if in the One Piece universe, Oda gets everyone to have peace by Luffy showing everybody what that peace is, and then in the real world, the entire world comes to world peace over the fact that they're mad over what the One Piece actually is in the anime.
Well,
And that's the beauty of possibilities, is that you can believe in the possibility of everything and anything, and you are looking for that, expecting that, and ready to roll with it.
All right, episode 4.
Well, we have to go back to 3 real quick
Oh, okay.
because we're introduced to basically oh no, we don't get introduced to him yet. We get introduced to Buggy, Captain Buggy, the clown.
That's the clown? Okay, got
That's
it.
episode 4. Buggy comes in, his shipmates spot a boat out there. It's Nami. She's like this damsel in distress, like, oh, I'm sorry, but I need help. And then she like
it a
basically
trap?
steals their boat.
Yeah, okay, it's a trap.
She switches boats, and then she goes
not
to
a
the
trap.
island. Then there's a flashback with Shanks and Luffy, and that's where we're introduced to Shanks. Shanks is a very big character. Captain Shanks is in the very first part of Luffy's life. He basically is the one who knows Luffy as a little boy. Luffy is looking at him as admiring him. They're sitting at a bar. The pirates are all mocking this little kid, and then some bandits come into the bar, and the bartender gets picked on, and Shanks is like, Luffy, don't get mad at that. Pick your battles. That was not one to get mad at. We know when we really have to fight. But Luffy's this little kid that's like, no, you're a pirate. I want to fight. And that's when he gets upset and he spots the devil fruit in a treasure box and he eats it. And all of a sudden his body turns to rubber.
Oh, so
But
he didn't eat the devil fruit in the first couple episodes. He eats it in episode 4.
there's a flashback
Yes, there's
to
a flashback.
little Luffy in episode 4.
Oh, so he already has the rubber in the first couple episodes. Okay, I
has
was going
the
to say,
rubber
that's
in
a
the
long
first
time to
couple-
survive with no powers in an anime.
Yeah, no, but you know what? By episode 4, you're
Krillin
really
would be
only
shaking.
like 2 hours in, and you're maybe just learning that. And they go by so fast. And like I said, the flashbacks are great because you
Yeah.
get to learn the backstory of everybody.
Yeah.
It's like you sharing your memories of all the times when you were little, what you remembered and what you didn't. And that's
I kind
when it
of
comes
I kind
in.
of want to say something to him about
Say
the
it.
the no devil fruit thing. So how I just told you that Gold Roger was the king of the pirates.
Yeah.
Well, his entire crew had no devil fruits.
Oh, so he was just straight up skill.
There's a different type of power in the anime that I don't want to talk about yet because she is
Okay.
nowhere near it. So
Or am I? And is that why we're here, Gunnar? We talk about philosophy and we talk about psychology and experience in life.
well,
Well, let me tell
Some
you.
of us are
it's-
doing it the old-fashioned way, Gunnar. We're trying to keep up with the modern way and then the new
Yeah.
generation, but yeah, there's a beauty in the parallelism to the older generations and
There is.
how hard they did work.
and well, it's still the power still plays in the new generation. It's just not a devil fruit. It's just
So my question
everybody
with that,
has like a different form that they can acquire, and that's basically all that Roger did was
So-
that he didn't want the devil fruit because they were on the sea, so they were always around the ocean. So he just chose not to have that.
my question is, so is the devil fruit thing, is that like in the world when we start watching it as a viewer, like in the world as it's established at that point,
Yes.
is the devil fruit, is it like a new thing or like they discovered,
It's
or has
not-
it been around for a long time?
It's been around a long time, but in certain parts where you're at, like where Luffy is born at, like the East Blue, there's not a lot of devil fruit users around there, so you
Okay.
don't see it a lot.
Okay,
So it's like
gotcha.
when it pops out, they're like, "Oh my god, what is this?"
So certain parts of the world, it's less known.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But here's the thing, real
go
quick,
ahead, sorry.
because this might answer your question. If you eat a devil fruit and get power, you lose your ability to swim.
That's where my question
which
was
is
going.
what?
So that's what he's saying. They didn't want the devil fruit because
didn't
they
want
were being smart about it. Luffy on the other hand was like, I'm Mr. Fantastic,
Well,
dog.
Luffy
Let's
didn't
go.
even know what he was eating. Luffy didn't even know what he was eating.
He was a little kid.
Oh, he just did it because he was like,
Yeah, he did it
I
out of
see shiny
anger.
thing. I'm a kid.
Literally, he was
Yeah.
angry eating. He was literally angry eating.
I
That's
too
what he was
hangry
doing.
eat sometimes.
He got mad at Shanks,
He was hangry.
saw his treasure box, and was like, "It's food.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat your food because I'm mad at you."
Exactly. So at this point now he's trying to take on the bandits. An old man steps in, and Shanks basically gets involved. They start to make comments about Luffy having like punches stronger than pistols, and he's a good fighter, so that's what makes him as a rubber man also very strong, and he can do the punching. And then Shanks basically gets involved and fights for Luffy because they're friends. So at this point in the show, in episode 4, we're introduced to this giant sea croc. And
Call 'em
Luffy
sea
now,
kings.
so now Luffy, who's eaten the devil fruit as a little boy, falls into the ocean, and obviously now he can't swim.
But he has
So,
no clue though,
he
because he
doesn't have
didn't
any
know
clue that
that
he can't
eating
even
that
swim.
would force him not to be able to swim.
Yeah.
So what?
He didn't even know that information yet.
If it's a very physical, swimming's a very physical like thing. How the fuck can you not swim if you eat it?
They're just
So
like
basically, how they explain it is once you eat the fruit, your body just basically like if it touches water, anything like water related, it just shuts down. Like your body just can't move.
Okay,
basically.
that
It's like rabies.
Yeah.
Basically, like as soon as you're like, if his feet were in water, he wouldn't be able to dangle his feet, but he'd still be able to move his upper body.
Okay, so because I was my first theory was when I heard that was like, oh, maybe once they eat the fruit, it just makes their body so ungodly heavy that it just sinks no matter what. And I'm like, that's so impractical because then the whole boat would just go down.
It basically like makes their muscles not work underwater.
Okay, got it.
Like they can't do anything.
Like H2O.
Yeah.
And now, if you think about this, when we talk about the devil and devil fruit, we all know that, when we're on the wrong track or we're thinking about something bad or we've done something bad, we certainly lose the ability to do something great that we need to do. So the paralyzing of any, type of muscle or the paralyzing of bad karma or paralyzing good karma and allowing bad to come into your life is absolutely a parallel moment. And obviously when Oda was writing this, he was obviously in that zone where he was like, well, we all have these things that we could choose to do or not do, and there is going to be a trade-off. So you really do have to make the right choices.
Yeah, like if you eat this fruit, you're gonna get
You're going to lose
some
your
powers, so
powers.
you're gonna
yeah.
have a lot of negative
Yeah.
effects.
But what makes Shanks such a loved character is at this point, with no superpowers, he jumps into the ocean and goes to save Luffy, and the Croc takes his arm
Does
and
he have
basically
dragon
gets his
fruit powers
arm.
too?
No, Shanks is
Shanks
part of
does
the
not.
original
Okay,
Goldie
okay,
Roger.
okay. That's what I needed to know.
Yeah. So Shanks has no powers. He gets his arm bitten off by the crocodile, and basically Luffy is like beside himself because he can't believe that somebody has made such a great sacrifice for him, and that's what really sets in stone that not only was this a great mentor, this was somebody who stepped in front of a bullet basically for him and saved his life, and now he's even more tortured inside that, that the love of his friend is even greater now. And so when Shanks goes to say goodbye, he's been wearing this straw hat. This is Shanks' straw hat. It's his most prized possession.
So that's how
It was
Homeboy gets
gold.
the hat.
That's how
So-
Homeboy gets the hat.
All right, I'm learning.
And that straw hat was passed down through generations. Somebody, I don't know who gave it to Roger, but somebody gave it to Roger. And then Roger had it, and then Roger gave it to Shanks, and then Shanks gave it to Luffy.
It was Shanks the original Pirate King, or am I confusing the two characters?
Shanks was a kid on Gold Roger's crew. Like, he was basically a teenager.
Okay.
I have another question. So again, this might be revealed later. So if it is revealed later, don't tell me. But if it's not, just let me know. So if Shanks has the fruit that Luffy eats, he doesn't have.
All right.
He doesn't.
We're getting too deep. There's a lot of theories we're talking about. I already know where you're going with this.
No, but my question is, why was he holding on to it and not using it? Was it holding it for like a special occasion in case he needed
I'm
it,
trying to tell
or
you.
just as a prize, just to hold it, just because?
He can't tell you, Devin, because he probably knows. But I
I
can
don't
tell
know.
you at
That's
this
the
point,
thing. It's still a theory to this day.
Okay, so it's unresolved.
That whole scene that she just talked about,
Yeah.
there's so many theories behind it. Because for one, Shanks did not have to lose his arm to that Sea King. He could have folded that so quick. And you see it right in the app. Right after he loses his arm, all he does is look at it and it gets scared. He did not have to lose his arm.
All right.
So there's a lot of theories behind that. And there's also a lot of theories of why he had the devil fruit. Because no one on his crew has devil fruit powers.
Yeah.
So why did he have that?
Was he trying to overthrow Homeboy King, dude?
I don't know.
maybe he was collecting
No,
the devil
his
fruit to
king
actually
already
get
died.
rid of it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
even though it was a treasure to some to take it and get powers, maybe Shanks actually had it in the treasure box because he was going to take it to a place where they're trying to get rid of all of them or burn them or something. So the treasure for him was to seek them out and destroy them before they maybe destroyed other people's lives and took these special abilities.
Is there a way to get rid of your abilities,
I
or are
think-
you with it for life?
I think there's at least
Death,
three.
but I don't know the answer to that actually. My guru Gunner would.
I think there's three main theories about why he had the devil fruit, and all three theories I cannot tell either of you.
Well, we moved on to a different question while you were still finishing a sentence. Is there a way to get rid of your powers from the devil fruit there where you can swim
No.
again? No, it's once you die or you
Yeah.
go down swinging. There's no...
Some devil fruits don't allow you to die.
That fucking sucks.
So basically, Buggy the Clown starts to tell, he kind of comes into play because he's flashing back also like to Luffy being a kid and all that. The straw hat is given to Luffy, before Shanks goes off to continue his pirate adventures. So basically he makes Luffy
Shanks
a promise and he says, "Bring this hat, come find me, and bring me this hat, bring me my hat back." So basically, his One Piece
On one
mission-
condition, though. On one condition. Bring
is
it
it?
back to me when you can fight me.
Oh, that's
basically.
right. That's
when
right.
he's strong enough to face him, bring my hat back.
Oh, nice. Okay, I forgot that
All
part
right.
too.
We should speed run the rest of these episodes because
Okay.
I gotta change the battery again soon.
So basically, we're on episode 5 now. Let me just go over a couple of quick notes that I actually wrote down. Nami stealing treasure again. She blames
Sounds
it on
alright.
Luffy and basically calls her his boss, and Buggy, the clown, who's the bad guy, goes after Luffy. She says, "Nami, you're really strong." That's where she first notices how strong he is. She asks him to team up, but he's too hungry to really even be paying attention to teaming up with her. And he doesn't even know yet that he wants her on his crew. So in episode 5, him and Nami are kind of still feeling each other out. Buggy, we learn, is really sensitive about his nose. You can't insult him on that. And he basically starts a fight with everybody, the town, everybody. Then, of course, Luffy learns that she's a navigator. He learns that because she's trying to steal 1,000,000 berries, but she won't tell anybody why she's trying to steal 1,000,000 berries, but she's got some stuff to do with this treasure. So we don't find out why she's stealing yet, but she's almost like robbing from the rich to give to the poor, and it's kind of got that same storyline.
She's doing it for the good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes it may seem like we're not really doing the right thing, but there is a greater good. And so if you can still find that moral line to stand by and make the right choices about it, I think that's what makes...
I think that's why Luffy gets along with most of the characters, good or bad, Marine or pirate, is because he just has good intentions behind him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has good morals. So if
So-
somebody else has good morals, they follow.
Is she actually? I forgot the word I was going to use. Wow. Is she actually taking orders from Luffy? Like, does she actually respect Luffy as the captain of the ship, or is she just saying that just so she can kind of
Both.
fucks
Yeah.
with them and then
A little bit.
A little
Yeah.
bit of both.
She starts to learn in episode 5 and starts to see pirates in a little bit of a different light. At first she's, not really that happy about pirates at all. She thinks they're all bad guys. And I think she starts to see a little bit of a better pirate's goal and character in Luffy. And so that starts to become, part of the attraction where they both start to see each other, in that light where Luffy doesn't really start to see her in any different light. He's just like, you need to be my navigator. I only want you and you're the only one. And at some point, even later on, she leaves and goes off and he goes after her to find her wherever she is.
So does Luffy turn into Lovey with her, or
Luffy?
is it,
No.
Luffy to Lovey?
or is it just
Luffy is the most un-women-driven guy in any anime ever.
heard?
He does not care.
No.
Okay, good. Is he
Not on his
is
mind.
he into the?
I'll tell you this, his hands are rated E for everybody.
And they stretch too, which just helps us.
TMI it! TMI! Oh my god! I know. So there's lots of good stuff. Episode 5 is awesome. Episode 6. So at this point, we basically have part of our crew. In the beginning of watching this, you're gonna learn that there's Luffy, there's Zoro, now there's Nami. And as we start to get into it, there's some more, I want to say, some fluff stuff going on, all super important characters. Some of the in-between characters are important, like there's a mayor of a town, there's a new captain, there's a particular marine. There's all kinds of characters that as you watch, and I encourage you to watch without us talking about it too, is to really just, see which one you vibe with the most. See which ones you can remember. Watch the episode 2 or 3 times to really get into it and really see it and understand it. This was me going back over the show. There's an adorable little dog in episode 6, and that's kind of where Nami reconsiders her view of pirates. But the dog's name is Shushu. And Shushu has his own treasure that he's protecting, but definitely, worth watching for sure.
So, like, if you know how Hagrid has his 3-headed dog, is that kind of the same thing, but for
Nope.
anime?
Nope.
Like,
This is just a normal little dog.
It's a
just
normal
normal
little
dog
dog.
protecting treasure.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if like a cool looking
It's
dog.
not. It's
just
not
normal
a
dog.
literal treasure. I don't
Like a
want to
bone?
spoil the episode,
Like
Yeah.
a bone.
but he's basically just guarding a home.
His begging bits.
His pet store.
He's guarding his
His pet food shop.
yeah.
Okay.
Because food's important to him too, but there's an even more valuable treasure that he's protecting.
And he's a dog. That's pretty
Yeah.
pretty lit.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, really, there's so much good content in all of the episodes, and there's lots of characters to really, that take shape and that have great personalities, that have not so great personalities. There's a lot of townspeople, a lot of secondary actors and stuff that come into play that are all great in some of those episodes. 6, 7 is great. Definitely some great characters in there too. But we're gonna kind of go very quickly through these next couple of episodes because, like I said, we're really wanting to introduce a lot of the first crew members. And since we have Luffy and we have Roronoa Zoro and we have Nami now, the fourth crewmate actually comes into play more along episodes 9 and 10. And it's cool because his name is Usopp, and he's a character that's very unexpected, I think, for a lot of people, because he too is just a regular guy who's living on an island, and I think his character was really based around the boy who cried wolf. And that's why I thought there was such a parallelism
100%.
to him. The episode opens up at 9 where he's just running through the town and he's screaming that pirates are coming. And little does he know that there actually are pirates coming, but at this point in time, he doesn't know that. And he's basically spinning stories and telling tales because he's just using his imagination, and he's actually trying to cheer up a young girl that lives on the island with them who is from a very prominent family, but she lost her. Yeah, she lost her parents, and her name is Kaya. And Kaya is a very important character because, like I said, Usopp is in place kind of cheering her up from the loss of her parents. He's using fantastical stories to do that. But there's been a character in place in Kaya's life for the last 3 years, and he's pretending to be the butler and a cool guardian to Kaya. But actually, he does portray as the good guy who becomes the bad guy. And of course, everyone who's thinking that Usopp is not the good kid because he's basically a fantastical liar winds up reversing roles. They get to the island, and Luffy at this point is looking for obviously a few more crew members, and definitely makes reference to trying to find a chef for the boat and a musician. He wants a cook and a musician, and at this point in time, he gets to the island, and he's starting to think maybe he needs a boat. And so he goes and he meets Usopp by accident, and they start to get into a scuffle until they actually find out that they're mad at the same person, and then they go off to talk, and they find out that Usopp's father was also part of Shanks' crew. And Luffy has memories of him back when he knew Shanks as a kid. He spent time with Usopp's dad. Mm-hmm. And so there's history there.
And it's kind of messed up. The history behind that is because Usopp's dad left. Yasopp is his name. Yasopp. And he left when Usopp was real young. Like, he had memory of him, but it's kind of messed up because bro was just one island over and never went to see his kid.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Think about it, though. 'Cause he was hanging out with Luffy and all them as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
He was just one island over.
That's true. It's funny because that actually touches on, the stories of mothers and fathers who are out there and they're living their best life with their family. And this is one of the episodes that touches on the subject of how a father really felt his calling was to leave his family. As much as he loved them with every fiber of his being, his true passion was to, love himself. And so he chose himself selfishly in a lot of ways, but also bravely.
Yes, I don't know if you've seen the flashback yet, but where I'm at, they cut to a flashback of Usopp telling about his dad. And actually, he said no to Shanks at first to joining his crew.
Oh, I didn't know
because
that.
he wanted to stay with his wife.
Oh.
And then evidently, once he had Usopp, he decided to join the crew.
Gotcha. So maybe in some respects he didn't want to leave his wife alone.
Exactly.
And then when he had his son, he felt comfortable enough that she would have somebody there. And again, this is definitely a part of a lot of people's lives. We definitely have somebody who has gone away to do other things or gone on their own adventures. And, while sometimes it leaves us saddened and does take its own dynamics and takes its own power over us, sometimes we live our lives feeling like we're definitely missing a piece There's, abandonment issues I know that go on for many of my particular friends. I actually seem to be collecting friends who have either been adopted or, even as far as like not just adoption, but a parent has left, or if a parent has divorced and even they still are in their lives. I mean, there's just so many dynamics to the beginning stages of an abandonment type of issue that these types of stories and this type of show, even while it's in cartoon form, like we were talking about, it's just very powerful. And what's very interesting about this particular character, Usopp, is that, it doesn't seem to have necessarily in this particular episode in 9 and 10, he's very proud of his dad. He steps up for his dad when somebody tries to put him down. That's where the butler comes in, and that's where, Luffy sees him standing up for his dad, and that's where Luffy starts to be like, yeah, I hate that dude. Let's get him.
Well, because Usopp is he's very proud of his dad because he looks up to him. He wants to almost become like his dad. He wants to become a warrior, a great pirate, and a warrior of the sea. And I was going to say, pay attention, and I mean really pay attention to all the lies that Usopp says. When he's like, I'm going to be a captain, I'm going to be a leader of like 8,000 pirates, like I do this, this, and this. Really pay attention to those lies.
Okay, I'm definitely going to be doing that as I continue to watch. Thanks, Gunnar. I think that this particular episode, though, just to touch on it a little bit, Luffy and Usopp are together, and they see that, the bad guy is coming into play, and he's looking to hurt Kaya. And so now their one and only mission is to save Kaya, and especially Usopp, who is definitely has great emotion for this girl. And it's actually saving Kaya from this particular character. Now, there's a character that comes into this that I have to make reference to. Jenga, the hypnotist, the weird dude. When I first saw this guy come on the scene, I was like, Oda, you just like redesigned Michael Jackson? Because he literally came in moonwalking, guys. He comes onto the beach and he's moonwalking backwards, and he's a hypnotist.
I think Oda really likes Michael Jackson because there is a lot of characters who do a lot of Michael Jackson actions. Like in the episode I just watched, Luffy moonwalked for like a couple seconds. Like for no reason.
Oda, you are one smooth creator, and those are some smooth criminals. But not so smooth because the hypnotist actually, when he's going to hypnotize everybody on the island, hypnotizes himself too. Right? So basically they're in cahoots.
Just too good at your own thing, dog.
Yeah. You're going to love this character. So I
Suffering
definitely
from
recommend
success.
1 through 10 for sure for everybody. Kaya gets them set up with the boat. Do you want to mention the boat?
So the boat that they get is
boats.
very, very big essential part because obviously they're going to need a boat to get to every island they're going to go to. They're going to need a strong boat.
I was gonna say, how did Luffy think he's gonna do all this without a boat in the first place?
Yeah.
Well,
Did he just think, I'll get to it. I'll get to
Brick
it.
by
exactly.
brick, my
He'll get to
friend.
it. He'll get to it.
He's
right?
like brick by brick, my friend. We'll get there.
Like he went and saw, he was just out, finally set sail. The first thing he saw was Zoro. It wasn't a boat. The first thing he saw was a swordsman. So he's like, I'm going to pick that up, and then on and on and on. And then he gets to a point where now the crew's a little big, they got 3+ people in there, kind of need a boat now. At first you could just hop, raft to raft, island to island.
True.
Now they need a boat.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Water.
I have a question about the world a little bit. Is this whole world like when I say world, like literally the planet? Is
Yes.
it all like islands, or is it like are there main continents, or is it?
It's the globe. It's the globe redesigned into
I think it's
different
mainly
sectors and names.
yeah, but I think that there are main lands, but the majority is just islands.
It makes sense for pirates. It's
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
pirate centric, so mostly.
And that's another
at
thing
sea
why I
and
love the
islands
One
and stuff.
Piece world is because it is endless. All you have to do to make another arc is just think of a random island.
Yeah, making just
make a new
'cause it's a
island.
whole literally a whole planet. So you can just make there's a new island over
Yeah.
here nobody's
Like
heard of.
you'll get to the point where you see, and that's what another thing I love about One Piece is just the world, the vision of it, just the aesthetic of it. Because you'll go from an island where it's super cold and rainy and just like kind of like soggy looking to go to like an island that's literally made of ice. and then island literally made of fire. You know, stuff like that. Like,
And on top of the characters, and on top of the crews, and on top of the pirates and the bad guys and the
world
townspeople,
building in
the
One Piece is
world building and the
amazing.
places that they go to, yes.
And okay, another question. This is probably like a stupid question because this is probably
No question is stupid.
Aside from, well, this is coming from someone who hasn't viewed it, and I'm sure that my question will be answered as soon as I start watching. Aside from the fruit, is it generally like a pretty magical world, or is it very grounded?
I'd say-
I know a partial answer to my own question because of just stuff Gunnar, you've told me that you've seen in the future. But aside from like, yeah, just aside from like the fruit, like is it mostly like is it established that there is like a kind of a magical world?
kind of in a sense, because like I said, there's another power that everybody can attain.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's not a devil fruit power.
And actually, your question and what the answer actually is reminds me of some song lyrics that a girl I had discovered a couple of years ago, an incredible songwriter. She wrote a song. I won't mention the song or any of the name or anything, but there were some powerful words in it. And it's kind of how I feel sometimes. I'm a real girl living in a real world, but I also have a fantasy world that I'm living in too. So, you know, it's kind of, I'm fixated on a fantasy world, yeah. I paint a picture of the perfect girl.
Had to burp, my bad.
Yeah. During my song, great. Not even my song, somebody else's
looked
song.
away. I had
But
to get
those
away
were
from
those are the actual lyrics.
I thought he
of
was
it.
reacting to the song itself. Like,
I know, right?
I thought he was touched for a
Cut that
moment.
out later. Yeah, I
That's
mean, I
dang
think
it.
that we all live in a real world, but we all live in a fantastical world sometimes in our imaginations. And I think that when you create a world of color inside of your dreams and inside of your goals and inside of your wishes and inside of promises, hope and faith and love and all of those have colors, they have emotions, they have music behind them. That's what brings this together. It's just that great, that powerful. We could talk about this all day long.
Okay.
We could. All day, every day.
To go back, I will say certain parts of the world are very grounded. Like in the beginning, like East Blue, where they're at, it's a very grounded part of the world. It's not exposed to a lot of that, like outside of the mythical box stuff. Like it's very grounded.
Marine City.
But like there's also like there's sea kings and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like giant monsters in the ocean. You know.
And we
So,
certainly
like,
don't know if there's really those monsters living in the ocean yet. We haven't explored all of the sea and
Exactly.
all of the world
so
yet.
it's yes and no.
Possibilities are endless.
What like level of technology does this world have? Like, what age are they in?
They
Basic.
can use. They're basic.
You're basic.
They can use machines. I don't think there's cars.
Like, what type of machine? We talk like steam powered,
Yeah.
Yeah.
gas powered.
In a sense, when you get further, there's like scientists and stuff like that. Like they have labs. There's a lot of stuff like that, but there's no like cars
There's
or
like
planes.
a chemist.
So it's not
Stuff
it's
like
not
that.
anywhere near like modern technology.
I mean, they know how to make clones, so like maybe
but that could be explained with like magic stuff if it could be.
no, because they do it like basically through it's very weird how they structure it because it's not.
Is
like,
it kind of like Naruto in the sense where there's like old and new stuff kind of
Yes.
mashed together?
Yeah.
Yes, almost
Okay.
in a sense where it's like, all right, there ain't no cars, there ain't no planes, but like, how did Orochimaru just create a human?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
It's stuff
There's devil
like that.
fruit.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
It's its own kind of
Yeah.
level of technology that's
Right.
not realistic. Well,
They play it
And
very.
I'm not as far as him, but I get what he's saying.
They
already.
play it very well though, because it's not like, all right, why is that even in here? Like that's a little much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They play it out very well.
okay.
It fits very well.
That was amazing. Amazing questions. And
It
I know
is.
that you, the viewers, are maybe going to have some questions and some comments that you're going to want to add here. I think that we're going to start to wrap up our.
I actually was gonna finish telling them about the
go
boat.
ahead.
We
Oh,
never got
yeah,
to
the boat. That's boat.
It is called the Going Mary.
Yeah, back in again? That's on.
The boat is called the Going Mary, and it is going to be their boat that they sail on for the next couple hundred episodes, and they get very attached to the boat. And you'll see, and she's not even there yet, but that boat it plays a way bigger part than you really think. It's not just a boat.
Wow, I'm excited. I can't wait to get there. The thing is that we are all on different levels of this.
The first time I ever cried was because of that boat.
Oh.
At least in One Piece, the first time I cried was because of that boat.
Okay,
One
so,
Piece is what taught Gunner emotion.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I didn't know how to cry before this.
And you know what? That's a great thing for the viewers to put in the comments. I would love to know the moment everybody cried for the first time, or that moment that they knew there was no turning back for them. The one that they knew that, you know, they had gotten this far in and they were going all the way for it. I was on episode 10 when I knew this was very, very special. I was on 30 to 35 or 40 at a certain moment, which we won't talk about now, but I don't know that it was the same moment for so many viewers out there, and I know you're going to all know what I'm talking about at this moment, because it's definitely between Luffy and Nami, but I'm not going to give a spoiler about what it is. But I'll be honest, it was almost shortly after that there was a moment, and I was like, yeah, oh my god, yes, that was awesome, and I felt like that overjoy of emotion and everything
almost,
take place.
I know what time
it was
you're
like
talking about.
satisfying. It was so satisfying. I was just like, I was hating this one character so bad, but again,
Because
not
I
ahead
think
of
that's the
myself.
first time Luffy gets serious is the scene you're talking about too.
And for good reason.
Exactly.
And for good reason.
So, and like how we were saying to Mike earlier, is, you know, like they played it up until then as Luffy being a very goofy, you know, nonchalant character, and then you see him get serious, and that emotion really hits you because you're like, all right, this is a good reason to be
Oh,
serious.
so good, so good, so good.
So I have a question for the whole room, really. I guess start with Nicole, and I'll get to Mike when he comes back because
I don't know about that.
Mike is doing a thing over here. He's doing a thing. It's important. Anyways, question. Oh, there he is. Hi.
Hi, Mike.
What I miss?
A lot.
Pretty much the whole thing so far.
Sorry,
You better
guys.
start watching.
Anyway, so my question is, what was there like in the first 10 episodes? What was the thing that like hooked you? That was like, oh yeah, I'm sticking with this. Like, was there a singular moment that was like, this changed my perspective on this show, and I'm gonna stick with it because of this thing?
For me, I'm gonna answer first because I said this earlier. My best friend watched the show and was caught up at the point that I started watching, and I saw some scenes from where he was at, so it didn't really matter to me. I was already hooked.
Yeah. Okay.
I was already hooked on what he showed me from way later episodes, so I was like, it doesn't matter what it is right now. I'm gonna get to that episode. But then I definitely got. I don't know what hooked me, but just I was hooked from the jump. Like I just.
You saw some
think-
cool shit, and you're like, okay, I gotta
Exactly,
I gotta
yes.
see what this is about.
Yes, exactly. It was more like I kind of like fell in love with like the character building, the world building, and you know, just like the music of it, and just the whole show in one is just like it felt very perfect to me. And it was actually the first anime I ever watched. So.
Oh wow.
So going off of what you just said, I mean, I know I haven't watched it yet, but you listen to y'all talk about it, kind of like put the story in my head, like I was watching it without watching it. When y'all described it, that makes sense. So I'm definitely gonna check it out. But that's kind of how I felt when I watched Dragon Ball, because when the first time I watched Dragon Ball was when, it was during the Cell Saga when it was on when it was on Nicktoons, and then I went down the rabbit hole. Now
They had Dragon Ball and Nicktoons.
Yeah.
But that's when I first went down the rabbit hole, and now I own every single episode of Dragon Ball on DVD and own every single manga of it somewhere. It's somewhere in storage, but I own it all. But now I'm definitely gonna check out One Piece because it seems worth the shot. Because what
It
y'all
is.
told me, I mean, every show
promise you
takes a
it's
little
worth
while
a
to get
shot.
into because you got to establish the characters. But once it
Sure.
gets going, most of the time they recover pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
And another thing I like about One Piece is there's not much filler. So like everything you're watching, you almost want to take it in. It's not like
That's good. Anime's a lot of filler,
exactly
so
like
that's-
One Piece's filler episodes literally say special episodes, so you don't have to fucking watch it.
Oh, nice.
Now, Nicole, I know you explained on your unboxing video with Mike that with Mike Katoya that part of what hooked you or got you interested was his like the way he expressed his passion about it. But for you, like your perspective of watching it, what was it that hooked you from the show itself?
My passion has always been people. So watching a show that started out as an anime, which I was not watching any of the other animes. I did not watch Pokemon. I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z or some of the other Naruto or any of those. I was collecting the Pokemon and the Yu-Gi-Oh! And the cards. I was looking at the treasure of the shiny cards and all of that. So I had knowledge of anime, knew I was always an animated feature film girl. I like cartoons. I've always liked cartoons. Always consider myself a kid at heart. For me, it was not just meeting someone who was inspiring to me, who became very instantly a very good friend. And because I had seen his post on Instagram, and he was at a very he was at a breaking point in his life. This particular show came to him specifically as a message, and that he spent the next 8 months almost as though he was healing himself from the inside out, and that his love for it was gushing out of him in this Instagram. That was what made me hit the button and say, okay, 20 minutes of my time, let me see. Episode 1, I was like, okay. Episode 2, I was like, yes. I knew instantly what the writer was doing. One of the attractions that I will say that I have with a lot of people that are similar to me is that we all kind of ride on a genius and insanity line. And so when you meet other people who ride that genius and insanity line, and I mean genius,
It's a
like
very thin
the
line.
kind of conversations that are just, yes,
Very
they're there.
minuscule line.
So in recognizing that about myself and my attraction to that, in recognizing that about a person, and then recognizing that in the story, I knew by 10 that I had a light bulb go off. I was changed completely, knew that if I was going to host anything, do anything, talk to everybody out in the world, that it wasn't going to be through my songs or through my music, that if I had an opportunity to talk about something, I would want to talk about people, humans, all of us. We're here. We are. That song in the beginning, every single word, I encaptured it. I listened to it over and over. So when did I know? I knew pretty immediately, but by 10, I called you. And I'm on 74 now, and that was before I even got to the 30 episode. But by 10, I called you, and I knew that I wanted to make this a part of my life. One piece of me was literally born for that in that moment. So imagine having all the dreams take place, all the people in my life, being in this place where I am at this point in time in history on the planet, with everything the whole world has been going through. Sometimes I can save myself all the time. I am my own hero. How can I help everybody else realize that they are their own hero too? That in itself brings me to a very deep emotion and makes me want to cry if I can have that kind of power, and if one piece can be the thing that brings us all together like that in the outside spaces of what we're already doing. Because life is what happens while you're busy making other plans.
Now, Devin, know your worth. She called you at episode 10. She called me at episodes like 68.
Damn.
She didn't know your worth.
I did not know your worth. No, I knew your
Keep
worth.
your head
I
up,
knew-
Kings.
Actually, I think you stopped to talk to me when we were out one night, and you were
And it
like,
just went
huh?
turned into a
What? Something about One Piece? What? And I was just like, hey, Mike, just curious, do you want to come and talk about One Piece?
I know you've never
Because-
seen the show, but you want to come talk about it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I do, because I think the real beauty of Luffy is that Luffy is ultimately a fisher of men. And I think the story has a very good and positive note on that note. I think we should all be fisher of men. And I think that there's a great connection to the world around us, and a great connection that we can all do this in love.
Now, with that being said, we should wrap up before the battery dies again.
Yes.
Any final words from everybody?
I promise by the next time that I am on this camera with these lovely people, I would have at least watched episode 1.
Yes.
Keeping
job
the,
here is done.
Keeping the bar low so I can overcome it easily.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you want my notes to take with you, Mike?
No, I'll be fine.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Gunner.
I'm gonna say, don't look at how many episodes there are. Just start it and just watch episode by episode and just see how you like it.
I
Don't
agree.
don't look at how many episodes there are. Do not. Because you're just gonna put it in your mind that it's too long. But if you just start it and tell yourself there's only 60 episodes, you're gonna get to 60 so quick and be like, I want more.
You know, in life, there really is no skipping to the end. So, why would you want to?
All you Gear 5 watchers, skippers.
Devin,
Yes.
got any good goals in mind after today?
To watch episodes 1 through 20.
Nice.
then my job here is done.
There we go.
Audience, have you watched the show or not? Comment down below. Where are you? I want to see those numbers take place. Please subscribe to our channel and please stay tuned because next week, if you don't mind, can you hand me that little box over there? Our next episode, because we have opened up the Romance Dawn in English for our series of trading cards, and I am a collector, so I have got now the Romance Dawn One Piece in Japanese. I just know there's going to be some amazing treasures in here, so stay tuned for that video where we unwrap this box.
I kind of want to start an argument in the comment section.
It can't drag on any worse.
I'm pretty sure that's already taking place.
Sanji will never be Zoro.
How dare you!
Dragon Ball's better.
Disagree.
You
won't cut
Disagree.
mine out.
Disagree.
Yeah,
Disagree.
You can cut mine out.